Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a Christmas special of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Yeah, that's right. For 2019, first year we're up, we're doing Christmas specials.
That's right.
And what that means, if you don't know, is every now and then companies will put out, and it's not like an every year thing, but companies will put out usually a shitty book, but sometimes they're good, of a little one shot of a Christmas special of their character, and it's somehow usually Christmas related. So it's kind of interesting, but usually they're bad.
It depends. I've read some really good ones, and I've read some this is just a money grab. So
Yes.
pretty obvious.
Yeah, usually it's I wonder what's going to happen in this, and then you're like, oh, that didn't make any sense, and also didn't feel like the same character I always liked, and So.
Yeah. So Batman Christmas time. Okay, maybe I could see it. Makes sense. Star Wars comic at Christmas time. Why? Why do they even celebrate Christmas in space?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How do they know? How do they know when Jesus was born? All right, no one knows. So,
and I want to apologize ahead of time. I do have the sniffles a little bit.
Oh, it's that time of year.
So, yeah.
Did you get your flu shot?
No.
Oh, I didn't.
I don't believe in vaccines.
So that'll be good. We'll both get real deadly sick, hopefully. Might be a real short podcast run, but we had fun while we were doing it, folks. So, anyway. So yeah, in the spirit of Christmas one shots, some of them are crappy, some of them are good. We're gonna start with our let's call them the three ghosts or whatever of our Christmas past.
Christmas past.
Because all of these are from the past, they're not from this year. But we're gonna start with Army of Darkness. What's it called?
It is Army of Darkness, Ash's Christmas Horror.
Ash's Christmas Horror. So who's that one by?
That is James Couric and Dave Simons.
Dave Simons. All right, so I don't know who any of those people are. And I think I looked it up, and this was when I was looking up on Comixology. It was written around 2011-ish. Yeah. So, and I should say that this would not be possible, this episode, because I had this idea for this episode randomly. And I was like, man, I want to read that one Punisher comic I read a long time ago, but I have no idea how to find it, and I don't even know what it was called. And I got pulled up my Comixology app. For all those of you who don't know, Comixology is a digital comics app that has a giant library of many, many issues. They are not a sponsor.
It's not like you're getting a sponsor here, but
although we would love a sponsorship, Comixology. So if you're listening, I would love it. But yeah, they have the ability to find pretty much any back issue. Most of them I found pretty much they have a lot. I mean, if you're looking for some maybe really weird off kilter stuff, maybe not. But so basically, I just typed in Christmas into the search bar, and I found 3. I was like, oh, this is perfect, and they had the one I was looking for Punisher. So the first one, like we said, we were reading is Army of Darkness, Ash's holiday. What is it?
Ash's Christmas Horror.
Christmas Horror. Okay. So yeah.
And that is what it was.
Yeah. Let's just start off this with, hey, me and John are giant Evil Dead / Army of Darkness fans.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you've met Bruce Campbell, right?
Yeah, I met Bruce Campbell. I like it. Yeah, I like it enough that I rewatched them. I like the show when it came out recently.
I mean, I've seen Army of Darkness since I was 6 years old. I love that character.
Yeah, I have even read other Army of Darkness comics. I've gone out of my way to be like, oh hey, Ash versus
I've read
Freddy
Shop
versus
Till
Jason.
You Drop.
Yeah,
the first I read the first couple storylines, and I enjoyed most of them.
Yeah,
so,
I felt like Bruce Campbell coming off the page or whatever.
Yeah, and the art was good and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So this was not that
at all.
The art changed page for page. Sometimes it was oh, that kind of looks like Ash, and then other times it didn't look like him at all. And then I mean, even the chin would change, and I'm like, that's usually what they get right, that chin. So, but let's go through the convoluted story. Basically, like Ash, of course, works at S-mart, and apparently every year at S-mart, the Evil Dead beings, the Deadites walk the halls for some reason on those days, on certain holidays.
Certain holidays, yeah.
And then they, possess a person, or they possess people, and then havoc ensues. And apparently they've been doing it like this, where the store is always open on those days. And they're like, Ash, why can't you stop them from happening? So that's kind of the setup for it, is just evil's been happening on all the holidays, and this holiday just happens to be Christmas.
But they are still going to have their holiday sales, gosh darn it.
Well, yeah.
And you will work.
You gotta get in the black. So it's Black Friday, man. But this is not on Black Friday. But yeah, Christmas time. They don't say which day it is, but yeah. So you want to say the first half of it or whatever?
Yeah. So he's gonna be there for work, and the store manager is doing a giveaway. It's like, hey, everybody come to the store, where they're gonna give away like stuff. I think like some free things, and then like collectible cashier bobbleheads and the stupid things.
Stuff. I'm like, why would anybody care?
People that like they're like consume, and so like because there was like panels of like kids like running over people to get them, and like running up to the like there's like the in-store Santa, and like pulling and screaming on things, and the children actually looked fucking terrified.
Yeah, they look
like
more
Chucky
demonic than the Deadites did.
Yeah, and they weren't. Yeah, they're not Deadites yet. There's no.
They're just children.
Evil characters yet.
Yeah,
they're just children. I mean, maybe the writer and the artist have a little thing against children.
Against children, maybe.
But anyway,
that's probably just the artist, though.
Yeah, but Ash is kind of talking about like the holiday suck and these things going on, and they have something like you were saying, evil history throughout the different holidays, and it shows like it's funny. I did like this panel. It was like the like old holiday aisle, and had discount holiday items from like every holiday. It was like a Valentine's Day thing, Easter Bunny, Thanksgiving, and there was like a big kind of like old Halloweeny tree, and that's where it kind of started. It looked like it was like coming into life.
Okay, so first thing, I didn't get that. I didn't get that the tree was there as like part of old decorations or something. I just saw a tree appear, and then I was like,
there was like a little clearance or price tag on like one or two.
Right, but I didn't realize that was part of a decoration. I just thought, oh, the tree from Evil Dead is here, the one that like rapes the woman in the first one or whatever. So
the rape tree's here.
Yeah, the rape tree's here. So they didn't like set that up correctly exactly in the comics or in the panels. So I didn't get that until you just said that. So good on you for following it better than me. Veteran comic book store guy.
Sure. So the kids are staring up at Santa, and Santa kind of looks like creepy and evil. And that's when like there's a girl that works at the store.
She's an elf in this?
But she's
And I get the like we're trying to be they're trying to like have their cake and eat it too, where they're like they make her wear a short dress, like a little elf costume that's like revealing on top a little bit and is super short so that you see her underwear or her butt, but then they're also like showing her underwear and her butt as much as possible, which was weird to me.
Yeah, because it wasn't like overly sexualized. It was kind of awkward.
Right, yeah, like, well, it was over, like, it wasn't like everybody could see her from below or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was what I think they were trying to imply, is that it's so short you can see her underwear and everything. But then every time they got a chance, they would show her underwear or whatever. But she's only in it for like that 2 pages or whatever, so it's not really.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like doing this long speech to like introduce Santa, and then things get like start going crazy, and like the Deadites start to possess things. They possess like other little evil elf things there and presents, and like they start coming to life. And so everybody starts running and freaking out, and the store manager's like, "No, we need to, we still need a sale. We need to do something."
Yeah, and they're like, "Ash, we need help or whatever." And then so Ash comes with, and this was weird to me too. He's got his metal hand. This is after Army of Darkness.
Yeah,
and he's breaks the glass of the gun compartment like he normally does. So he doesn't get a shotgun; he gets 2 handguns, which I was like, he never does that.
Yeah. He stops to get his Elvis sunglasses though.
Yeah. But even with that, I was kind of like, I don't, just do the comic. We know the character. He doesn't need all that stuff on him. And just everything about it just didn't feel like the way that he was written just didn't feel quite Ash correct or whatever. Like it just didn't feel like the character. But anyway, he fights the Santa.
Yeah, and he saves her from the Santa because the Santa, like his chair becomes possessed too. He was like, "You're on my naughty list now, and my chair's going to eat you."
Yeah.
And so he saves her and steals a kiss from her, and
yeah, when you say steals a kiss, he literally just kisses her.
Yeah,
and he's her manager too, so that he's gonna get me too real quick. So, but yeah, and that's pretty much like that night, and then like. He saves everybody, right? All the Deadites are gone for that night.
Yeah, he says your holly jolly ass just got canned, and Santa delivers nothing but like the best this year or something. I don't know. It was
yeah, nothing made sense as far as like what he was saying.
They didn't feel like Ash lines either.
Yeah, no. And if they were like directly from the original movie script, to which I was like, that was like 20 years ago, guys. You don't have to say boomstick or,
Yeah, that was the only time it was those.
Yeah, so yeah, then
but while he's fighting Santa, it was right before he beats him. He does Santa. That was weird. Santa like ripped off his shirt.
Yeah, it was like
a creepy like
it was like
creature in his chest.
What's it called? It was like Total Recall.
Yeah.
What's his name? Quoto or what?
Quote, yeah.
Whatever the name of the freedom fighter is in what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie I just said? Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah.
Sorry, folks. It's a little late. I'm tired. But yes. So like, yeah, he opens his shirt. There's like this other being in his chest, and he shoots that dude in the head and blows him up. And that's pretty much it for that Santa.
Yeah. And so he's fighting that, and it looks like it's gonna be over, but there is like there's evil reindeer that come in and like.
Oh, that's actually the reindeer stab him, and then somehow that makes them all go away. I don't know exactly how, because like in the movies, they don't go away. Like even if they're chopped up or whatever, they're still like alive and messed up, and then the darkness can make them come back to life even with that, and like stitch them together. So. In this, they conveniently go away. The holiday's over, and then like the manager's talking to Ash, and he's like, "How can we keep having these things? We gotta make our sales quotas." And Ash is like, "Well, you just can't open up on these days." So basically, this was like a political comic about not having your workers work on holidays
because it's a bad time of year and bad things happen. I guess
exactly. And so he gets the store for like 5 years. Right? Is it 5 years, something like that, to not have holidays?
Yeah, exactly. They have like new hours. They're closed on all the main ones, and they and they're also closed on like Friday the 13th, and
all the holidays that you would think, even Valentine's Day and stuff, and Easter or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Easter, Halloween, June 6th at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't remember what that one was. Like that was a reference that I guess we probably should know, being Evil Dead fans, but I don't.
Probably not from Evil Dead. It's probably from something else.
Yeah, and then so it's like it's a full. I don't think it's quite 5, but it's a couple years later, and there's been no incidents now, and Ash is, I think he's a manager now.
Yeah, he's the manager of
hardware.
Hardwares.
Hardwares.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
housewares.
That's pardon me. Yeah, but then he's they're like, okay, well, you have to play Santa this year. And he's like, you don't pay me enough to play Santa. I am not playing Santa.
Yeah.
I'm going home, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't get fired, but he doesn't quit or anything. He just is like, see ya. So he goes home, and
this is where the comic got like...
Yeah. I wasn't sure where the comic was going, because they kind of, you would think the fight at the beginning would have been at the end of the comic or something. And it was kind of like, okay, where's this taking us now? And I was hoping like, it'll get better. Maybe this will have a better ending.
But it was weird. He went home and like just turned on the TV and was flipping through, and it was like classic looking scenes from like classic.
Yeah, from like It's a Wonderful Life.
And Charlie Brown and things of that nature. And yeah, so he's flipping TV and he's like, there's nothing on. I'm going to go to bed. And like he slams the door and there's like he looks up at the shelf and there's a Necronomicon on it and it's got like
it's gagged and bound.
Yeah, it's a little Santa hat on it and it's gagged. And he's like, well, luckily I didn't have to deal with your BS this year or whatever. And he puts it up, but then he slams the door and it like falls off the shelf and like it ungags
itself. And the book's like, haha, I'm going to spin some evil tales. And like this green light comes out of the TV from the book and then goes into his room. And then while he's sleeping, it like goes into his face orifices.
Yeah, and then it was weird. It was like he gets visited.
And it said there was like the evil was going to be in his dreams.
Yeah.
So like you would think that means he's going to have like big fucked up things happen in his dreams, but nothing really effed up happens. Like
no, he gets visited by like 3 ghosts. Like he's gonna
like a Christmas Carol,
whatever. But then like he has.
And I thought they wasted a Charlie Brown joke. They didn't even do this Charlie Brown joke in Charlie Brown's universe because they go to like the Charlie Brown Christmas. The adults sound like wah 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 wah, and the kids were talking to him, and he was talking to the kids, and they understood him. And I was like, what the hell?
They did make the joke, actually, though. That was one of the things that I remembered is that...
When did they make the joke?
So, first they're getting to it, so he walks through one, and he sees, like, the Santa Claus or the snowman that's at the beginning of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And, like, all through these panels, the animation style is also changing to be, like, the animation from those...
Somewhat.
Some
from very rough versions.
Yeah, very rough. So that it goes from that, and then it turns into like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and then Charlie Brown. And as he's going through Charlie Brown, the characters are like dancing around him. His voice turned into like it started off like that, but then the last couple things were like wah wah wah.
Oh, I didn't get that. But I thought he was saying like
it kind of
the onomatopoeia that they used didn't convey that to me. I thought it would be like wah 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 wah. Like
no, it trailed off and it was short, so I could see how it could be missed because it was only a few.
If I did it, I would have had a huge like frustration scene where he's trying to talk to these stupid fucking kids,
and that's all he's
saying. And all they can hear is wah 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 wah, and we can understand them. They can't understand them because they're dumb kids.
That would have been better, yeah.
But yeah, and then was the like he does A Wonderful Life.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life, and it's like, oh man, wouldn't it be like he sees something and it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if he didn't have to be around? And but then it'd be like, oh no, but then kids would die because you wouldn't save them from the Deadites.
He's seeing like all these Deadites. They never instituted his Christmas policy of no shopping late on Christmas holidays or whatever. So the Deadites the Deadites can come out and kill people now. Every year, and he, it wouldn't be like that if it wasn't for him. And then it pretty much ends, right?
Yeah, I mean, he wakes up and he's like, I'll change if I get out of this nightmare. So then he wakes up. He goes back to the store. He says, I'll be Santa, but it's gonna cost you weekends off. No more docking him for Deadite damages. He plays Santa and says, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a dismembered Deadite." Like, that's it.
Yeah.
It ended very abruptly.
It had no, like, real ending that was, like, satisfying. Or anything.
Yeah, like, they had all that fight at the beginning, and then, like, the weird, like...
And it wasn't even good. I wish they would have switched it up where he's, like, coming home from working the holidays, has that dream sequence. It's a little bit more fucked up and evil. Like, wouldn't it have been evil if, like, the little kids from Charlie Brown were, like, boiling, Snoopy alive or about to, know, or, like... just stuff like that. Something that makes him evil because the book, made the TV stuff evil. So I don't know. And then he's like, I got to go to the store because he sees that in the dream. And then he goes there and they're, doing their thing. And then, or the Deadites are killing people. And then he saves them. And then, ta-da, ending, whatever. And he shows up in like a Santa suit or something.
Yeah, he should have showed up in a Santa suit to be.
Yeah, because he's like, I gotta go there to be Santa because that's why he left, and and he was mad about it, and then now he's going back in his Santa suit, like, okay, I gotta do it because I don't want people to die, and then he's like, I'm too late, and he could have fought him then or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they could have done a better pacing. I don't know. Anyway, like we said, this was a bad comic. We're spending too much time on this bad comic. But anyway, what would you give this one, John?
Man, I like a 3 or 4.
I would give this like
I would say 3. I'll stay at 3. I was like
3's even a little high for me, but I'll say a 3 too. Just
I don't want to like that.
It wasn't unpleasant to read. It was just like why. It could be so much better. Or so much more fun
with other ones I've read for
for that property.
And Army of Darkness.
I wouldn't say they're high art or anything, but like you either like you're gonna get like at best a 5 or a 6 from that. From like the. Hey, we're having fun with this series or this character that we know from movies. But generally, I have fun reading them, and it's got the same voice. Like when he talked, I didn't hear Bruce Campbell's voice in my head because it didn't look like him. It didn't feel like him. It didn't have any of the same stuff. So, folks, if you see this one on the shelves in the back issue section or
leave it
in
there.
Your Comixology, just leave it there. Maybe pick up Ash versus Evil Dead, shop till you drop or whatever.
There are other great Ash versus Army of Darkness versus Transformers. That was actually surprisingly funny.
Ash versus Reanimator. That was fun too.
Yeah. I liked Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. That was fun.
Yeah. That was actually really fun.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely, if you like Army of Darkness already or Evil Dead and, you have an affinity for that character, there are some good comics you can read in that. And all of them are published by Dynamite, I believe. So,
this is not one of them.
And this is definitely not one of them. So, on that note, what did we read second, John?
Moving on to bigger and better things. And by better things, I mean like this went definitely in the opposite direction. So next we did Punisher Xmas.
Yeah.
This was Stuart Moore and E.P. Smith.
Right. So I know who Stuart Moore is. I don't know who E.P. Smith is. But E.P. Smith has a very similar art style to whatever was going on in like the mid 2000s. Like every panel, I was like, it's so indescript. Like the art was okay. You could see what was going on, but it was so like, it looks like so many other people of that time period that it was just like, I can't tell you
who did
your
this.
style. Yeah, I can't tell who did this. It's not quite good enough to be like Alex Maleev or something. It's not bad enough to like write it off, So I was like, okay, whatever. Like that guy did it.
Coming back into reading more comics now, I still have to say I still like the art a lot, and it was cool.
Yeah, no,
it
got all its point acrosses
sometimes, and it was cool.
Yeah, it got all its points acrosses. I can't talk right now. It got all its points across as far as what art is supposed to do. It was just a little bit like we're trying to be, what's the comic? Alias or something from that time period, and we're not that guy. We're not quite that guy, but we'll try to be that in that ballpark or whatever. So, yeah. So the story of this is, and the only thing I thought was weird about this one was Punisher has a naughty and nice list, and he actually writes naughty on it. And I was like, the Punisher wouldn't write the word naughty.
I like that, actually.
It was funny because, it's the Christmas one shot, I allowed it. I was like, okay.
You don't think the Punisher would be like, I fucking hate Christmas. Fucking naughty list.
I don't think he would do that.
No,
I don't think Punisher. Well, at least the ones I've read.
I was like Punisher Max.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah, Punisher Max is the only Punisher that I've read for real. So maybe that's why. Maybe some of the other ones aren't as messed up and hardcore. But yeah. So basically, he's writing a naughty list and a nice list, and he doesn't have anybody on the nice list, but he's got 40 names on like the naughty list that are all like mobsters.
Yeah.
And he's working his way through them on Christmas Eve or whatever. And apparently a couple days before, a child had died in the streets. And there was like some mob guy who, it was either like a cop shot the kid or the mob guy shot the kid. They weren't real sure on what happened. The newspapers were reporting the cop was doing it or had done it. So Punisher, puts all these people on like the maybe naughty list that, were questionable in that shooting and whatnot. And the rest he's trying to track down to get information. And all the people he's tracking down are all mobsters. So while he's getting the information, of course, he's going to kill them after they've given him what he wants. Or if they don't have what he wants, he's going to kill them. So, yeah. So any thoughts at the beginning here, John?
I like that he had a naughty and nice
well,
look,
I thought I thought it was funny, but it was, to me, is uncharacteristic just because it's that. But then it's not Punisher Max, so I could let him have it. But yeah, so like he's going through questioning people on the list and killing them just to get information. You know, he goes to the cop that was in that shootout.
Yeah, the cop's one of the first and goes, and he's like drunk in a bar because the cop is like
sad that he killed a kid potentially.
Yeah,
he said, "I don't think I shot him or whatever, but you know, it was crazy or whatever." And so like Punisher talks to him, he's like, "Okay, cool," and then he like writes on the nice list the cop's name. He's like, "Good guy," you know, whatever, potentially. And then he goes and talks to the mom of the kid that died, and she was all broken up and everything, and he puts her name on the nice list.
Yeah. Oh, but she says, "You know what? If there's any information, you could go here," and she gives him pardon me,
a matchbook.
Yeah, a matchbook of. I like the name, the Pink Putty Tat Lounge.
Yeah, there you go.
Strip club, and so that's kind of where things start to.
Because this is regular Marvel, so they can't say Pussycat.
Yeah.
So.
So it's in association with Warner Brothers, but not
right.
Putty Tat.
And he goes to a strip club, and this strip club art was interesting because they had to they couldn't show anything for real, so it was like they just had if the lighting in it was super crazy, so like the girl stripping had you couldn't see anything, like you couldn't see any of the underwear that she had on or whatever, but you could see the legs were white. When I say white, I don't mean like skin color. I mean like they were blasted in if they had a painted white on her whole body, kind of like Sin City or something like that, you know. But then, and you couldn't see anything in the script because it's Marvel straight up, so they don't want they want kids to be able to read it at some point or somewhat. It's obviously violent and fucked up, so I wouldn't give this to a child, but 15-year-old kid or whatever could read this.
Yeah, so he goes there and he goes through and he goes into the back room because that's where the one mobster who was also in association with this is, and he's like some weird preacher-ish mobster, and
he's got a church,
but it's almost like a technology is the way church. It was weird.
Yeah, it was very odd.
But I did like it. He said he went in and he walked in the room and was like looking, and he was like, I recognize all these faces. I should come here once a week. And
just
shop.
Murder everybody.
Preventative maintenance.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that's good. Preventative maintenance.
You would like that.
I do like that. I'm a big fan of preventative maintenance.
Yeah. So he goes in, and the guy's name is Jimmy, Nouveau or something.
Yeah, I think it's Nouveau.
And he says, "You're on the naughty list, and there's only one way to get off."
Let's eat some of these bullets.
Basically, yeah. So he gets, it shows
he pretty much murders everybody in the church too, right?
Oh yeah,
he just kills everybody that's there.
Yeah, his congregation is in the back of the strip club, but
yeah. Well, when I say church,
I guess any temple could be a church.
Yeah.
So.
What's wrong with that, John? Jeez. Meet where you can, people.
Exactly. I mean, if everybody's already going to be there for
as long as you don't have to pay taxes,
no cover,
it's fine.
No cover after two. Everybody can come down to the church.
Yeah, wow. More people go to that church probably.
So he gets scratched off the list, and then that ends up clearing the cop too, because I guess he gets the information that he needs from it.
Yeah, but doesn't he find so he finds out along the way? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, because he finds a disc of all the records from Jimmy.
Yes, and so in that he finds out that the mom actually knew Jimmy and was one of his prostitutes, or is it just?
I don't.
She worked for him in some capacity.
Yeah, and
it wasn't a maid. It was
either
you're in on the business, you're selling drugs or you're turning tricks or whatever. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, and I think that kid ended up being it was his son, right? Jimmy's son. They had.
Was it his son? I didn't. I didn't catch that reveal.
That's kind of the feeling I got from it.
Okay, it could have potentially his. Okay, yeah. She was ashamed, but she also was in on it somewhat on him being there because she was like, "Oh, we're going to see that guy or whatever," and then she didn't protect the kid that day or whatever. She let Jimmy take him. So Punisher's like, okay, I gotta go confront her again, and she's like already on the run from the last time he talked to her. Like she's at a bus stop, and he's like, hey, what's going on? You know, like, guess what I found out? Like, you worked for that fucking guy, and you let that child die, and yeah, she, you know, he was like, it said like, you know, some. Like, you don't have to kill everybody or whatever. Like, he has, like, an inner monologue where he's like, you know, sometimes you just let them, like, if they didn't actually murder anybody with their own hands, you can't, like, physically kill them. And then he's like, sometimes you don't need to use a bullet. And he just tells her, like, you're a piece of shit or whatever. Yeah. Like, he tells her how horrible she is. And then she, like, you know, he says, like, I knew what she was going to do before she did it. And she, like, runs into the path of a bus at the bus stop and, like, gets run over. She's just like sitting there, like dying in the snow, and he walks up and he's like, "Sometimes you do need a bullet," and he shoots her. He shoots her dead, like to put her out of her misery, but you know, also just to shoot her. I was like, Jesus Christ! So, yeah, what do you think of this one overall? Like,
it was fun. You know, he drops the nice list on her, like, yeah, whatever, I'm done with this. So.
Yeah, and I thought like this was a good Punisher story. Like, you could give this to someone. And they'd be like, whoa, this is like what the Punisher is. And that's not even Punisher Max. That's just regular Punisher.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that at the comic store because it came out about 2008 or 9. And it was like, I was like, oh, that's pretty badass, you know, Christmas story. And that's the one that spawned this whole idea for this special. So, yeah.
I liked it.
I was like, John should read this. Merry Christmas, John. But yeah, so I like that one. What would you rate it?
It was fun. It was a good story. It was a solid Punisher story. The art was it was dark and gritty. Yeah. So I would say a 6. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah, I would say a 6 too. Yeah, it was better than Batman Hush as far as like conciseness and everything of the story. It's different. Yeah. You know, it's a one shot.
It's a quick. Yeah, these one shots, mind you, too. Like,
but some of those are hard to write because you know you have to fit all this storyline in one.
Sure.
You have 30 pages, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is if you've never picked up a one shot before, for the most part it's usually like one like small actual comic, or maybe like the size.
It's a little bit fatter. It's like usually one comics normally 24 pages. This is 30 pages or something.
Yeah, and
it's just one little snippet, you know, into this character. So it's usually the character doing something interesting or like. Or something, you know, for a holiday that they wouldn't normally put in the comic.
They don't always do one shots. Like, this is not just Christmas. They'll do one shots for, you know, anything. If anything it's like a special they can make money on. Yeah, exactly.
Army of Darkness and Obama versus Trump or whatever. they've done comics like that before.
Yes,
they'll you know, if they think they could sell, they'll put them out there. So, yeah. So yeah,
but it was good.
We both thought that was a 6. It was solid. It was fun. So on that note, let's get to the best one we read. This was fantastic.
Yes.
This was Hellboy.
A Christmas Underground.
So
by the one and only Hellboy creator.
Written and art by Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy. And I gotta say, man, like, I haven't read Hellboy for a while, and this was like nice and refreshing.
It was great. And I have to start off and say, seriously, that cover like gave me warm and fuzzy.
Where he's like sitting in front of the fire.
Yeah, he's like with like, I guess a demon knight or something.
Yeah.
But it looks like a Christmas Carol, but with Hellboy.
With Hellboy, he's got his chops and everything.
It was fantastic.
So yeah, it's like like that's how you do like a humor with the horror, and it's like that's how you do it correctly. But yeah, so this book looked fantastic. The story was fantastic. This is exactly what you want in like a one shot. You could give someone to be like, so why read Hellboy? Like, what's so interesting about it? And you could be like, well, here's one issue that's fun, especially if it's during Christmas time. It makes more sense, you know. To give it to someone. It's
one nice little self-contained story. So.
Yeah. The storyline of this is Hellboy. I don't know when it's set because Hellboy kind of goes back in time a lot, like to the 50s and 60s. But did it say what date?
1989.
Oh, it's 1989. Okay, so it's a little. Later than some of it. But yeah, so in 1989 in England, okay, there's a village or there's a house.
Yeah, all you really see is the one house, Mrs. Hatch's house.
Yeah, and an old lady has just passed.
No, she hasn't passed yet.
Oh, she's about to pass.
Yeah, she's about to pass. He goes because there's like word of something happening, and he meets the butler, and then he meets Mrs.
And something's fishy going on besides her passing. Like, more people in this house have passed recently than should have, and she's just the last one that hasn't quite passed yet.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a daughter. Of 3 children she had a daughter. But the one daughter it was strange because she disappeared like 5 years ago.
And she disappeared in the cemetery where there was like not just like English tombstones and stuff. It says there were stones there from before, England was England kind of thing. Like, so they're like either Celtic, like weird stones, like Stonehenge kind of thing, but not quite as big as that. Or they're like something pagan-y. That's what they kind of like.
Very much so.
Yeah. And so she just disappears, and they don't know what happened to her. And I guess they don't, look into it more than that.
Basically. So Hobo goes up to her room, and he, kind of talks to her and gets that little bit of information.
The mom,
Mrs. Hatch, yeah. And she says, yeah, okay. And she says, if you see her, will you do something for me? And because she figures that.
Well, and she also says she's been visiting me.
Yeah.
Like, the daughter's been visiting people, and as they've been visited by her, they've been dying. So the mom was the last one to have people visit her, or to have her daughter visit her. So you're like, okay, what is this, some kind of vampire scenario or whatever? We don't know quite exactly.
Yeah.
But
so it says, take that. There's a box on the mantle. Will you take that and give it to her when she comes to visit? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And this is my absolute favorite panel in the entire comic. Was she sees Hellboy, and when she looks at him, it shows Hellboy in one panel, and then the next little one next to it, she sees him as Father Christmas, but it's drawn in that Hellboy style.
Right.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I like that one too. They just basically gave him a beard and a hood.
Yeah, but
it looked pretty much just like Hellboy.
So it looked really cool, though. I
cool.
liked it.
Yeah. So he goes to the cemetery, and he gets to the rocks.
Yeah.
And
that was I just, because you're gonna say what goes into it in the cool part of the story, but I like this panel too, because he goes in the cemetery, the rocks, and like the way it he goes into the area. There's a little rat on top of one of the rocks, and it's just one panel of this little rat, and the rat's like, beware. This little beady eyes. Yeah. And Hellboy's like, fuck off.
Yeah,
and punches it. Not the rat, but he's punching at the rat, and it breaks the tombstone, and that's.
Yeah. So, or the tomb rocks or whatever.
Yeah.
So then he goes down there, and he's looking around, and he sees
like a Victorian house underneath.
Yeah, underneath the ground. So
yeah, that was wild. I did not know what was going on for a second.
Yeah, you're like, is he dreaming, or is this actually what it's under here? But he was very much dreaming, or it wasn't him dreaming. It was someone, the monster down there putting on a hex on him, a spell.
Yeah, and he meets Anne.
Yeah,
the daughter.
She seems very normal, except her eyes are kind of glowy.
Kind of glowy yellow. Yeah. She seemed like she was kind of floaty ghost looking too.
Yeah. She didn't seem like she was the monster though. Is what I mean. Like she didn't seem like she was like, I'm gonna murder you. She was just like floating around like a ghost or whatever.
She tells him there's a secret garden down there where she used to play with animals, and some talk to her, like a mouse had silvery eyes and things.
Like that mouse we saw.
Yeah.
Beware.
You beware. And she said she met someone who can give her all her heart's desire, known as the second son of a king.
The second son of a king.
Yeah. And he gave her a ring and this beautiful place under the rocks. And then she visits her family, and one by one, they all come down there to live with her, i.e., they die.
Right.
So, I
thought you were.
Oh no, I can go. Yeah, so Hellboy's like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's wild. Here's this.
Yeah, here's the thing your mom gave you.
And inside that box is a rosary, and the rosary,
for all you who aren't Catholics, the rosary is.
The rosary is a cross on a beaded necklace
that you pray to.
Exactly,
or pray with.
Yeah, there's different, usually other symbolized beads on the necklace, and they all represent something specific, and that goes hand in hand with a lot of mythology or very old Christian beliefs of war